Welcome back, everyone, to the BrickCity podcast. We did a quick one. I know I said I wanted to release these monthly, but just with timings of things, we over the weekend we had the Worlds finals and we had a ban list drop. So we wanted to get our opinion out here. We have a lot of good players in the community. So today with me, you can see them on screen. We have uh, Martin Kiki Lee, we have Billy Pink Chung, and we have Kevin. Just people know who they are, but just to go over some quick accolades for them. Kiki here has 17 career tops, 4 of them being wins with a Digifest, a DC1 event, the Ultimate Cup, and a regional. Pync has 15 tops with 2 wins, being a Ulti Cup and a regional. And Kevin is a little bit of a newer player. I can't say new, but he has 8 tops, winning the CNE event in Canada, but also with a notable 5th place finish at the 2024 Nats Day 1 with a top 32 overall finish. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Happy to be here.
All right, so I'm a complete pleb at this game. But I wanted to get you guys being our cracked competitive players here. So the big thing we wanted to look at was just kind of like how you felt overall about Worlds, and then we're going to move into the ban list afterwards and what you guys want to see, right? So the first thing up with Worlds is like, how do you guys feel about the format? And for those who didn't get the full memo, I got this off East, so if anything's wrong, blame East. From what it is there's 24 players globally, winners within their various national events, various like the Asia Grand Open, like large scale events. So in total, it was 24 players. They did day 1 as a 5-round Swiss best of 1 format, and then I believe day 2 was a best of 3 top 8 top cut. I think the final winners we ended up with were a Galaxy in first place, Blue Green Imperial in second, Sakuya in third, and Red Purple Imperial in fourth. How do you guys feel about the format? The best of 1 to me in Swiss, and then switching over to best of 3 seems a little bit odd.
I think Best of One contributed to a lot of the deck topping. I won't lie.
Yeah, it also contributed a lot to how players should build their decks. Coming from at least North America, I can't say the same for EU or all of the Asian regions, but North America at least plays the best of 3, and we do build to that strength, right?
I think it is. I think it's basically like English format plays 3, and then Asian format plays best of 1. I
Yeah.
might be mistaken. Like I'm not sure what like Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, what the Asian countries do there, but I know like Japan's big on best of 1, and they were a large population of the representatives.
Yeah.
I think I was able to get a judge friend to kind of pull up, or he found it on Twitter, but I got him to pull up kind of the deck spread we had here, and just looking at it, like there's some decent like diversity. There's 5 blue green Imperials, 4 purple hybrids, 2 Sakuyas, 2 Tyrants, 2 Levias, 2 Magna X, 2 red purple, and then 1 of Gallant, Mirage, Takumi Kazuchi, Galaxy, and Royal Knights. Like, how do you guys feel that matchup spread went?
It's good to see that there's like at least a lot of diversity as far as as far as this new format goes. This format was probably less than a month old, and we have a pretty big spread among different decks that we expect to see at the top here.
Is there anything?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Go.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I think because this is invite only, most of these competitors were doing a lot of research, and I think they all found different solutions for the meta, and they all had different meta calls, right? I think a lot of people were preparing for like Royal Knights or something, so they played super aggressive decks, and you can see that here.
Was there anything kind of surprising that you see in these decks? Like to me, the Sakuya and the Tyrant. Like I'm a Tyrant lover, but like I don't think this deck is one of the big winners, right? Like I'm surprised to see those 2 decks in here. Like, anything else catch your eye?
Tyrant definitely surprised me. I was still surprised to see a gallant player. I know they got a lot of support in the recent set, but I was still surprised to see someone pull it up in World's event here.
I'm pretty surprised about blue green being so popular this meta. I haven't seen that around, but I guess everyone here is just playing with the new cards, right? The red purple. Blue green's just never was never not bad.
Yeah, I thought the ratios on these would be flipped.
Mhm.
Like how heavily do you think this would change if we did a full best of three? Like Kiki, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think definitely these decks are warped by the format, but also I think regional differences because I think some regions tend to play some like decks differently. I think Mirage converts a lot more in EU than it does globally. But all in all, I think the pie chart itself, um, despite what people say, I think the format is actually very diverse and it has been for a long time in Digi. And what I mean by that, there's like no deck that represents more than like 60% meta share. It's really been like Nume was the last time that happened. The blue green Imperial doesn't surprise me. I think initially, it was kind of interesting to see the deck decisions, but a lot of this is just kind of what the players have already seen, right? So the Asian players have already seen Royal Knights for a long time, so they're already aware what beats it. So I wouldn't be surprised. Of course, we don't see the breakdown here. But I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these Imperial players are from the Asian regions, because I think in a lot of ways Imperial will just roll over Royal Knights before they do anything. And then I think all the other like one-off decks are probably people who are just still trying to figure out the format that don't have that experience. So I would not be surprised if the overlapping decks are from the same region.
Yeah,
Mhm.
what do you guys think would be the biggest change if we did a full best of three? Because I know that like the first part counts for best of one, then you make it to that top cut, which we'll go over the matches in a bit. But like that's the real thing, right? You got to start off with the best of one, and then you go to the best of three. But if we started with best of three right away, do you think that this
Yep.
people would have like considered different decks?
I would just put
I
one more
think
comment. I think a lot of these decks play we talked about before actually, but a lot of these decks are playing draw heavy emphasis and a lot of toolbox removals. So things that kill floodgates because you don't want to run into a floodgate in a best of one. And for that reason, I wouldn't be surprised if that's why the Tyrant players are here, because they have more flexible options to remove a more wide varied I get more they're just more issues in an ideal scenario, as long as they see their answer.
Mm.
yeah, I think that's a good reason Galaxy did so well this format. Just it has answers to everything. It's a toolbox deck, right? Like whatever is on board you can deal with Galaxy. But other decks like Purple Hybrid, if you run into the wrong thing, you just kind of lose.
Yep, I'd agree with that.
Honestly, that's crazy for me to hear because I know that like purple hybrid's kind of been uh not dominating in the sense that like it's winning everything, but it is winning quite a bit, right? So like it's a pretty strong deck.
You know what? They probably ran into the Tyrant player, and we know how that matchup goes.
Hell yeah.
I think they didn't show as much success as they do show in like at least the current tournaments that we've seen. Is due to the fact of a best of one because we do know how hybrid decks they do rely on a lot more pieces and don't have as much search in comparison to something like a red purple imperial.
Yeah, so that kind of comes into an interesting perspective, right? Like we always have this talk about best of one, best of three. What do you like? What do each of you? I think you guys have like pretty different. Well, actually, I can't say different, but I know other than Kiki being an all force one trick, Mister All Force himself. Um, I think you guys have like very kind of distinct game plans, or like distinct kind of gameplay styles. So, what do you look for in a deck if you're trying to compete? Do you look for more consistency, or do you look for kind of like that weirdish, high-ish roll potential with like trying to tone it down with some consistency because you're playing best of threes, right? Like what do you lean more towards of like trying to just win right away, and just taking your wins where you can, and then just taking with the losses with what it is, or do you kind of curve out that power scale and kind of go for slightly more consistency, kind of toolboxy kind of stuff?
Well, I mean, I come from playing Galaxy a lot and Fenrir for the past few months at least. And judging from like at least the best of three, I know I can get away with a lot more things that I usually wouldn't be able to in a best of one format, like Fenrir running essentially like 8 rookies at one point, or even um, Galaxy also still only runs 8 rookies as well, like core rookies, not including floodgates or that you might throw in there. So
So would you
it
say that
definitely
you?
does change
So would you
based
say
on
that?
like how. Sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So would you say like with those two decks being your example, then with the ratios, like you try to push for a more, I guess greedy would be the word, but like a kind of a
Yeah, I would push for more
greedier.
greedier ratios.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
like as like coming from someone who plays like about the same decks, but still different. Like I play Angels, which is you need your pieces, but like I love consistency in my decks, even if in a best of 3 format. Of course, you're gonna get sacked here and there, but I love decks that will just they'll play them like no matter the game plan, it's gonna be the same thing, and I'll play all the draw power I need to get those pieces. Yeah, and I think
Mm.
that contributes to the best of 3 format because Billy and I have two different styles of playing, but even in a best of 3 format, we can build the decks differently, but still have set pretty much the same outcome. But in a best of 1 format, I think power does less than consistency.
So like yeah, so Billy would go for a little bit more of an aggressive kind of high roly ish
Yeah.
angle, where you come from more like a control ish consistency
Mhm.
angle. Like Kiki, how would you kind of approach this?
I think my answer is a little bit skewed because I play online locals that are best of one, and I like them. So,
Yeah.
um, I think that does give me a little bit of insight on like what works in best of one, and it usually is things that high roll or fast. Um, I think the key things when picking a deck right now in the best of three is ceiling of the deck. So how broken or unfair this deck feels. It fundamentally cheating some rules like Fenrir is very unholy in what it does. Cheating like 12 memory and
Can
2
agree.
cards
Can agree.
DNA.
Unholy?
Um, but at the same time, I think the other piece is the matchup spread, and because some decks just auto lose to certain decks, and I wouldn't play a deck that has a poor matchup spread against most of the meta. In a best of one, I think the big difference is it's very hard to anticipate matchup spread now, because you have less games, and a deck that might have been slightly favored in a best of three because you can adapt like against a toolbox deck. In a best of three, you can adapt to the lines and the options they're playing. But in a best of one, I have no idea what that Galaxy player is doing. I don't know what level sixes he's running
It could be
anymore.
red. It could be blue.
It could be red, it could be blue. I don't know until like the sixth turn in, and that
It could be
might
red
affect
and blue.
significantly how I play. And so I think that piece is the bigger part for me in a best of one, which would make me play less reactive decks. I would probably play less answers and just play all gas because
Mhm.
Would that change? Would that philosophy change when you do? Because you're saying you do locals as best of one. If you were to switch that over to your online tournaments, like what shift do you do to accommodate for that?
for a best of three.
Yeah, like when you're switching from best of one for your local deck, what
Yeah,
changes
yeah.
do you
So
do when you go into
from best of one to
the
best of
events?
three, I think it is really just I'm willing to play more one of answers, rather than just consistency,
Mm,
because they're again chances are most decks will have very something similar to some extent,
Mhm.
and I think the game is actually slightly slower in best of three as a result across all decks in a tournament.
Yeah.
Mhm.
One point to
yeah,
bring
I
up
think.
about best of threes
Oh,
though is the like it is longer tournaments, and I think that it shows who plays more in a sense, like who's more experienced. Because in a best of 3 format, one round is 50 minutes instead of 30 minutes, and then it just adds on and adds on. You're playing more games. You're playing a lot more games in a tournament, and by the end, if you're in the finals, you're gonna get way more exhausted, right?
yeah,
Yep, I'd
mental
agree. I
fatigue
think
is
that's
a big thing in events.
Hmm.
100%. Actually, one other comment to that I think is kind of to build on that. There's a lot of decks I strongly believe cannot exist in best of one, because there's some decks that are just so slow that it's like you're playing a 40-minute game one, and you can't have that in a best of one.
Yeah.
For a lot of time. So like
Brother,
Mother
I'm an
Control
angel
decks,
player.
for
I'm right here.
example. Sure, Angel decks, yellow decks, a recover, any kind of security control. And Mother Control, is not really a thing anymore. We'll talk on that later.
Mhm.
But like those kind of decks that live for the long game don't exist in best of one. So I think that's one other thing to note.
Yeah, because your ties is tiebreakers, and you don't want that.
Exactly.
Mm. Right. So kind of just moving forward then, like taking a look at the matchup spread. Like I kind of mentioned before, we ended up with Galaxy, Blue Green, Sakuya, and Red Purple. Looking at like kind of the third place match between Sakuya and uh, Red Purple, how did we? Is there anything you guys noted from it? Anything kind of special? Like I know we were kind of joking around with Ruin Mode being a hell of a card, but outside of that, was there anything of note that you guys kind of saw from this?
Onion's a good player. Yeah, it was just he. It was unlucky. The guy drew all the outs. I'm not gonna lie.
It was
Yeah,
a terrible matchup, honestly.
Mhm.
Do you think it's do you think it's kind of a result of and sorry I don't know his play, but the Sakuya player kind of finding that secret sauce? Like Sakuya, I don't think is a very like like it's popular in sense of like it has a big fandom to it, but when you look at results, like I don't really see Sakuya popping up there. Do you think this is just a great meta call from him?
I just think it's well, first of all, BT20 just came out in North America, and Onion's from North America, so he didn't really see Sequoia Loop as much as Japan did, right?
Well,
So,
this wasn't Sakuya Loop.
well, I
Like
mean, like, but
Japan's had
the
it for a while. They
engine,
have Tau
the
Loop.
Sequoia engine, right?
The Sakuya
Fair.
Pios.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I know this is the Sequoia Loop, but the fact that we don't we know that it can turn to ruin mode, but we haven't faced it enough to like actually know, you know?
Yeah, like you know the
Yeah,
threat is there, but sometimes you kind of
you
forget about
just
like especially since
sometimes you just get
like
it
it
messed
could be
by
a
it.
long day. Yeah, it could be a
Yeah.
long day. It could be like nervous or something on stage. Like it could just be one of those things that
Hmm.
like might slip your mind for a moment. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, yeah, he got big old ruin mode a couple times.
A big old bungus, bro.
Yeah, like
I mean,
outside of that, just anything notable that you kind of caught within the matchup?
well, I mean, I think Krova made a really good call, and he wasn't even playing Ruin, or rather Tau Loop entirely. He was playing like an actual Sequoia online, which was very interesting to see because I was when I first saw Sequoia, I thought it was the Ruin Loop. But I mean, regardless, the top end still answers. I think it's a really good call to play Tau Loop or whatever Sequoia with Ruin mode on top end, just because it answers a lot of decks currently. Um, Similar to like both the Imperials, it kind of answers, and as well as Galaxy as well.
Mm. Yeah, I know you guys have like Billy and Kevin, you two in particular, have been like testing around with it after seeing this in after seeing it at Worlds. Kevin, you mentioned that damn Sakuya's got hands. Like what sort of things are super powerful? Like what can the deck do that kind of catches people off guard? I know we're kind of focusing on this,
Hmm.
but
I
everyone
mean,
kind of knows what red purple does now. Red purple really just does a Yu-Gi-Oh combo, blows up your entire board, puts a lot of
yeah,
pressure. But I think Sakuya's special, like or unique enough that not many people know what its strengths and weaknesses are. Right?
yeah. So the big thing about Sequoia is that just like just like Tau Loop, it shoots out a ruin mode very easily without even the Talmon Ace. But it's also the fact that while you're going up the whole stack, you're setting up for your next stack. And while you're setting up for, and it's also chipping, and then you also have the OTK potential with Valder arm. So like I think Billy can go into it more deeper because he's actually played the deck. I've only played against it, but to me, it's just insane how much value the line gets itself. It's so memory efficient, and you set up for your next play.
I think just the top end of Ruin mode definitely slows down or can even fully stop a lot of decks from essentially going through with their game plan. And then because of the token system that the new Sequoia provides, as well as Sequoia X from I believe it's EX8, uh, it spits out all these bodies. So while you're stopping your opponent from playing from continuing their game plan or setting up for the next moves, you will have essentially a turn 2 or maybe a turn 3 kill because by the time you're done setting up your tokens, you'll have essentially 4 to 5 bodies on board while you still have ruin mode minus 5k on board as well.
Hmm.
God, we love ruin mode.
And that's not mentioning the Sequoia line DP minuses the board, like any Digimon on board already. So if you have something big, it's probably dead the second they go into ruin.
Yeah, the line just draws a lot.
Yeah.
Plugin, the green plugin draws a lot. The new Sequoia draws 2 cards on top of the 3rd card that you actually draw for Evo. It's drawing a lot. I mean, as you can
Mhm.
see, like during the third place game, like game 1, he locks him out on a run mode with essentially 5 bodies, telling his opponent to answer the board, but he cannot. So and
Mhm.
both the Imperials require their rookies to search to get through their deck to find the pieces they need, and I think Rune Mode and Sequoia does a really good job at stopping that.
Another thing is Valder Arm is actually such a good tech. It stops the hybrid players. It stops and it gives you sec +1.
It
And
stops
it's just,
it stops Royal Knights very
yeah.
very much.
And you just unsuspend off the Sequoia X effect. So it's just like it's 4 checks, and then you have a token with rush. That's 5 checks. So you only need to chip 1, and it's an OTK.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the deck just seems like it does so much so efficiently,
Mhm.
especially since its whole gimmick, or not gimmick, but its whole strategy moving up the thing is all about playing like options for cheap, and all these options have kind of a secondary effect that helps to push your
Mhm.
game plan for more and more
Mhm.
forward, right? Do you
Yeah.
think that this is kind of a Nume situation where it's a deck that kind of got a little bit more support, like more and more support, and then it hit that point of critical mass? Like, do you think that's kind of what happened with this, or do you think that it's just a good meta call?
Mm.
I think the deck is just good. I think it's good.
I think it's a good
momentum.
medical. I think it's just good in general. It has
Yeah.
it has the toolboxes it needs, not being level 6s, but being level 7s. The rune mode stopping the smaller bodies, the Evolder arm stopping the bigger bodies, and even running the plugin option, pause plugin, I believe it's called, to stop stack decks, or even ace timings if you can't answer certain positions on board, right?
Yeah, I completely agree. Like this deck is just good. I don't think it's a meta call. I think it's just a really good deck, and whoever started playing it was just really smart with it.
Mm-hmm.
And especially now that it's in the highlights, like we're going to be seeing a lot more of it popping around.
Oh, for
so
sure, for sure. We all have sheeps in our communities.
It's not Chiefs, man. It's just like it's any sort of competitive game. You're gonna want to
No,
see
no,
what's
I
top,
know.
right?
Billy, weren't you just playing this deck?
I'm that guy.
Yeah, hey,
I'm
yeah,
the sheep.
just to peel back the curtain. Just before we started the podcast, we were sitting on here, and he was streaming his game with Sakuya on loop on it.
I am the
I
sheep,
tuned in.
guys. I'm the
I
sheep.
tuned into this Discord call. I turned on the stream. There's like 12 tokens on board.
Yeah, my DCG Go was lagging like crazy. I could not play the game.
Your
Yeah.
opponent couldn't either, bro.
All right, so that's kind of it for this matchup. Like all we really said is, it's unfortunate that Onion kind of got ruin moded out of the game. I wish we could have seen a little bit more, but I'm also not like we also kind of see what red purple is. I just wish there was a more competitive game,
Mhm.
other than just kind of getting steamrolled, which is it's card games. It's kind of unfortunate.
Hey, congrats to
Um,
Anya for 4th place though. That guy is crazy.
Yeah, he did
hell
really
yeah, our
well.
North American representative.
That's my goat.
Our only
That's my
North
goat.
American highest topping player.
That's my
Yep.
goat.
Yeah. So kind of moving on, then we had the grand finals. We had Blue Green Imperial versus Galaxy. Uh, Unfortunately, also kind of kind of a brick situation. Like I wish these games had a little bit more oomph to them, but like this is just kind of the nature of card games. So sometimes you get non-matches. But w- was there anything in kind of this matchup or this match that you guys could have seen could have gone better, could have gone worse? Anything that was kind of a good play or a bad misplay?
Yeah, I think for this finals match, there's a lot of I think a lot of nuance to this. I think, of course, there's a very immediate misplay that I think everyone saw, where 9K is indeed bigger than 8K. Swinging that, but I really had a rewatch of this game because I think obviously that's the misplay that stood out the most. That did probably lose them the game off that. I actually do not think this Imperial player bricked either game. I think they are just not playing to win either game.
Mhm.
Um, and I know I talked with some of these people like Kevin yesterday about this as well. There's like just the for the game one. I think that the most immediate thing is first two turns setup is fine. The big mistake is it goes into Payo. He's under the impression he can clear board, but it is not big enough. And before he passes turn, I think the immediate the I strongly believe the best line here, rather not the obvious line, is to just go into medieval, vortex
Just hard
into the
slam
level
the medieval.
5. No,
No,
evolve over to
Evo.
medieval and over the
Oh, okay,
unsuspended
yeah,
Pio. Vortex, do not use the effect. Vortex into the level 5 and just pray he doesn't have an ace. And then when the Invisi spits itself out on that turn, medieval will kill it.
Yeah,
And
because
now,
yeah, just to point on that, because
yep,
Invisi plays itself at the end of the opponent's turn, so you have
yep,
turn player priority as the medieval player.
yep. Kevin educated me on this yesterday,
Oh,
Yeah.
which I think
Yeah,
is
kind
which
of
is
crazy.
huge.
yeah.
Honestly,
You could have used the medieval when digivolving to pop something if you wanted to, because the alternates is the once per turn, not the when digivolving part.
So you don't have to swing at all.
So you can, yeah, he could have swung into security, evoed into medieval, popped the stack, and then
Well,
when he plays the body, then pops the body again.
the only thing about
Can you
swinging into the
Oh,
security,
he doesn't have
is
jamming. He doesn't have
you don't
jamming.
have jamming, and
Yeah.
you don't have partition either.
Yeah.
Do you,
My
do you
bad,
think
my
it was
bad.
nerves? Do you think it was nerves that kind of got him,
Yeah,
or do you think
it's
it was
definitely
just
the
kind of like
finals nerves.
autopilot?
Oh yeah,
Well,
you're
East
totally
was
right. I didn't even
seeing
realize that, Billy.
East was saying on the
Yeah.
stream like he's playing way too fast. He should slow down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there was another way that you could play that. You could have QiQi and I were talking about it. I believe his play was better, 100%. But there was another line of him just going to dragon mode, and then Invisimon plays itself out, and dragon mode has turn player priority. You go into
At
the
the
fighter
fighter
mode
mode.
base, and then you pop the
Crash top
Invisimon
sec
before.
and pop it.
Yeah. So those are a lot of things he could have done differently, but again, the nerves got to him. QiQi was just saying he's playing to not lose. He's not playing to win, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the. I think in anything competitive, that's kind of the big mindset thing, right? Like, there's always
Mm.
people who try to play safe, who don't want to, like. Unfortunately, it did happen, but like, you don't want to throw the game. But it is kind of that difference that really does make kind of the champion of wanting to win the game, like pushing, being more proactive rather than being reactive. Like it's in everything, right?
This could be going back to our first topic too. Of this is a best of 3. Japan doesn't play that often, right?
Most of the Asian regions don't play
Yeah.
that
Yeah, most
often.
Asian regions don't.
So he's probably thinking like 2 games ahead when he should really be focusing on the first game.
Yeah, I could see that being
Mhm.
a thing, and I do think the fighter line has merit depending on the matchup. Like if you think they're gonna
Mhm.
play something by effect in a deck that does do that, I think that's a totally valid line. Like if they had a scramble out, for example,
Yeah.
I think that's totally relevant.
Yeah, but in game 2 there was another thing that we pointed out.
Yeah.
Because he built all the way from Lydra to Paledra in the back when I believe he could have just went for the full line. He could have just went because he had, from what I recall, he had hidden potential in his hand, so he could have just evil to Lydra, went to hidden potential for Paledra, and then gone Hexablow versus the other Hexablow. That way, he stops a lot of the aggro, and he's actually he's drawing a lot of cards from eviling and actually making some progress.
Yep. I think on that turn, so I think when we talked about this, Kevin, I think that is so Hexball got pushed out, bounced one of the 2 Davis Kens.
Yeah.
Imperial player opted to just evolve into Lydra and back, and I don't know, maybe evolve I think if they did they evolve Pio into the back the same turn?
He was left at 1 memory, and then he
Oh,
evolved to
so he
Paledra.
passed turn with the with the
Yeah.
Lydra. Sure.
No,
And
he
then
passed
there was
turn
a
with
following turn.
Paledra. Yeah.
Yeah. And the following turn he drew the HPD, and then I think on that turn, I think that's fine. But I actually think that as soon as they push out the Hexblow, I think this Imperial player should have pushed out. And I think I can see why it would look suspicious. Because functionally what you're doing is I think you evolve into Lydra, tap Davis and Kent to gain the 1, so you're at 0, slam your Sting, end on level 5. And look, you gave them 3, and at that point, but Billy can correct me if I'm wrong from the Galaxy. I don't think this Galaxy player is going to do anything with 3 once they've already established a level 6. In most cases, like if they had the
In
level
most
7,
cases, yeah.
I
They're
mean,
not playing.
unlikely,
They're not
but
playing red. Is all I'm saying.
exactly.
Ooh.
But I think like you're so behind at this point,
Mhm.
that you need to establish something, or even just like have the confidence to just race at that point. Because I think by the time that they drew the HPD, I think they are now like 2 turns behind. Whereas if you're 1 turn behind, at least you can
Yeah, you
at
play
least
catch up.
threaten something.
If I remember correctly, if he passes on, if the because
Yeah.
the Galaxy player is ended on 1 memory with only a Wisteria boost, he's not gonna be able to do anything on, even if he cracks it on 3. So yeah, that would have been the correct play to go into Hexe, just to stop the aggression from their opponent's Hexen.
Oh, I think it's even just to threaten the Hex, right? Like even if you end on a 5, which is kind of the line, your opponent is probably, I mean, if your opponent's thinking about it, they're probably not going to slam a tamer anymore because they're just going to get hexed. Their tamer might just get hexed.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, you pose such a threat to them that they have to start like doing different things. They have to play differently. But right now, you're just playing right into their game plan.
Yeah, he's playing.
Exactly.
I think he played
really
way too defensively.
Again, playing not to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, and against you can't do that against Galaxy because that deck is
Give him an inch. Give him
not
an
playing
inch.
the fair game.
That deck is so efficient. They can just pop off so hard on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's Do you think it might have been tilt? Like, do you think that 8K
I
hit
I
from the
think
first
so.
game
I
kind of got
think
to his
so.
head, and then
I think
Yeah.
from
so.
there it kind of doubled down on the I can't lose kind of mindset, right?
Yeah, kind of like tilt
Yeah.
and nerves, kind of both.
Yeah,
There's a lot
it's
on
unfortunate.
on the line.
Yeah, of course, but like
Yeah.
still, don't get me wrong, losing in the grand final kind of like this, not the best feeling, but
Ah,
making it to second place, like of all the players that we have on a
yeah.
deck that's tried and true, the blue green imperial is like still a crazy feat, right?
hmm
hmm
Like
Like you're
it's
still the second best player we have in the world right now.
yeah, like he
If we
went
just
for
go
it.
straight up by that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's nothing to be ashamed of. You still are second best.
He made it to Worlds more than most people can say, to be honest.
Ooh,
I've
more than
never
all of
been.
us combined.
I've never been to Nats. I didn't even go. I didn't even go to visit when you guys are there. I just. Alrighty, so yeah, like that. If that's kind of the major things that we have in the deck matchups, it's still like I said, it's kind of sad that we had two games or two sets that were kind of just a little off. You know, ruin mode and then a little bit of tilt in the second one. But overall, I think that we had a good event. We had good representation. I think a kind of a good summary of what we have in Digimon as a whole.
Mhm.
Uh, Galaxy needs to be shot. I'm surprised that jumping ahead. I'm surprised I think it hit
Galaxy
in
did
that
nothing
list.
wrong.
No,
I'm
Galaxy.
dusting off
What
the
do you mean?
Galaxy deck. Don't come to locals.
Oh God, God.
It's
Okay.
just this match was very human. What can you do? You know, just very human players.
Yeah. The first one is it's card games. The second one is we're people.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah.
People are still playing the game.
You know what? Onion could have done. What Onion could have done better was just shuffle his deck better. Shuffle your
Oh
opponent's deck
yes,
just
True.
better.
Opponent's deck,
Yeah.
Yeah. Cut
yeah.
his deck
The
better,
shuffle
man.
diff.
because he's playing line Sakuya, so he needs a line.
Yeah. Should have actually pile shuffled your opponent's deck.
And you should have called me and had me shuffle the deck and just brick like hell.
Yeah, fly him out to Japan.
Yeah. Fly me out.
Yeah, we
14.
got a
Was it
professional
26
better.
card search? No rookies. Oh, we
Ooh,
lose. Turn one, mem boost. No rookies. Bottom
ooh,
deck all your tamers. Turn two, mem boost. Still no rookies. All right,
oh.
I lose.
4 tyrants. Ah,
Ah. All right. So kind of keeping on topic, but moving away from the matches. Then, if we look at the lists that were kind of that popped up here, was there anything that you guys noted in them that seemed spicy, seemed like a very good tech card, like a super smart tech card? Anything that you think was kind of weird? I think we have Pync here with his very who's a good example of this with your old Mervacross list. That amazing tech of having reinforcing memory boost.
That card was dog shit.
I remember all the videos praising that, being like, "Oh, that's such a smart tech." And then I talked to you, dude. This card was worthless. Is there
It came up
anything
0 times.
is there any cards like that you guys, or not like that, but like ideally would be good, or like you think it might be a little bit
uh,
interesting in some of the lists that we see?
do we think the finals is why the Stingmon got banned?
No way.
No,
No,
I
dude,
I think
they released that
the
immediately. There's no way they were considering that like when they were doing the finals.
I know. It's just that that Stingmon is actually like really good for just consistency in the best of one format.
Oh, for sure. Unrestricted when attacking, not once per turn, just to draw
Ooh,
one.
I draw 2
Is a
now.
lot.
I draw 3 now.
yeah.
hmm
Yeah,
I think this
Uh,
deck is very reflective of the best of one Japanese or
mhm,
Asian deck building. Like I think it's not just the Sting. Like a lot of the ratios are pretty different from the best of three global lists. Like the level 5 suite, usually you play 7 level 5s. This one only plays
mhm.
6. The Lydra, I think, is like a cult. Like that card is, I think, is bad. I think this card is bad. And I play it, but I think it's bad. I think it is really like that, and that XV are outs to the floodgates,
And
which
also draw eggs too, not power eggs.
yeah, draw eggs as well. The rookie ratio is normal enough,
hmm
but I think like those reads all seem a little bit different. And I think a lot of those are the early game pieces,
hmm
which you would probably factor in differently in a best of three. I'll just make one comment with the Sakuya list because I didn't talk too much about it before. I think the deck is good as already everyone mentioned. But I think what is more impressive about this deck is the deck building for this because I think
hmm
like where Galaxy and Imperial both versions are fairly solved. Like they have like 80%, 90%, all the lists are the same and they plus or minus, a few ratios. This one, I do not think it has really much to reference, unlike the others. And I think even now, it's pretty impressive to find a rate that works with a deck that requires so many options.
Yeah,
So
I
I
think
think the
the
deck building is more impressive than the
yeah,
actual.
like I think the
Right.
just like very minor inclusions, but having the Starmon I think was pretty big. Being
Yep.
able to just get that extra DP minus and the barrier, even though I don't think the barrier comes up like
Hey,
it
Barry
comes up
always
here and there.
comes up, bro.
I
The
think the
one
barrier
of
does come up.
old QB is kind of crazy.
Yep.
Is it?
Like clearly, like all these one-ofs are there for a reason. I think to the barrier point, I think it does matter against things like purple hybrid, which are deleted.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah. I also think
Yeah.
like this is one of the few decks that can use or not a few, but like using Chaos Valder Arm, like that card's crazy. I didn't know what this card did until I started seeing it in this list.
Oh, this card is cracked.
The card
Like I know
is
it's good in
very
the
good.
Excel deck, but like
It
this
is.
it's the fact that you could use it in this deck very efficiently too, like it kind of fits the game plan and it's cracked like
Oh,
for
yeah.
what you want to do.
It's very good, especially in conjunction with the Sequoia X, because it allows you to get the unsuspend for 4 checks essentially,
Yeah.
with a rush token, which is 5.
And it's
Yeah.
crazy that the when digivolving is not when DNA.
Also,
right.
that
I
Yeah.
thought the floodgate was when you DNA. Then I looked at this like, why is he
No.
is he just hard evoing?
No.
also
you-
that
You just slam the you slam the plugin, you evil for less, and then you gain memory. You're like, huh?
That's
also
crazy.
that
Yeah.
Yeah. Top
Yeah.
end
Ruin mode was
floodgates
never the
are,
problem. Those Valder arm.
No. Ruin was still a problem. But like the fact that Valder Arm is like an aggressive and defensive tool is like it's just insane to me. And the fact that the deck could get it out so efficiently with was it plugin S, the green plugin and
Mhm.
scramble? Like the fact that you
Yeah.
just go into it, it's like insane to me.
you can't use green plugin on Felder.
has to be
That's
3
alright.
cost.
Oh, it has to be
It has to
three
be
or
3
less. Yeah,
cost
yeah,
or
yeah,
less.
yeah.
Yeah,
Scramble. You use scramble.
But
yeah.
use 3 on the way up, which is like so efficient for
Yeah.
everything else that you could use
Yeah.
scramble on it. Like it's kind of cool.
Floodgates on the top end are pretty hard to play around in this game now.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
With
for sure.
Evil,
I love
Ruin.
floodgates. I love
Guys,
I
like,
think
floodgates.
it's
Slough.
fine. I think it's fine, but I think it is.
Mirage.
Interesting.
Mirage is also fine.
Mirage.
Yeah, Mirage back to 4. No problems. I see nothing wrong with that.
Speaking of floodgates, just jumping back to the Imperialist real quick, like how do you like medieval gallants and everything? So I'm not gonna talk about this one, but how do you feel about the one of the new virus Imperial?
I'm pretty sure that's
The
standard.
new virus fighter mode. It's
Yeah.
standard now.
I think it's standard. I think it's a good
Yeah.
one-of call, just because
It's not an ace.
it allows you to pop something. It gives you, I think, piercing and raid. I can't remember. And then it also trashes top sec. And
Mhm.
it is a floodgate on the turn it goes into.
Mhm.
Yeah, like I think it's that extra like push towards the end, right? Where you can either make the
Yeah.
aggressive swing for it, or you just play it out and go like, okay, deal with me.
And I do like the fact that the Virus Imperial at least has a recurable pressure, as anytime when a security is removed from your opponent's side, it always pops something. So it's always board clear versus the green blue ace one. I think only has the unsuspend.
Yeah.
No,
he
it
just
bottom
goes.
decks.
He goes
Oh, it
back.
bottom decks as well.
But it's
If
an
you
And
have
end
bottom
of
deck's
Dragon
on
Mode
play
under.
when Digivolve.
No, that's
Oh,
the
okay.
it's the end of attack as well.
Yeah, if you have Dragon Mode
Oh.
under.
Oh yes.
Oh yes, my
But it
bad.
has to
My
be
bad.
something
That's
with
not
like
Imperial.
suspended or something, right? Yeah.
Unsuspend this. Then if it Dragon modes and digital vision course return 1 suspended. Yeah.
Oh, it has to be
Yeah.
suspended. Right.
Good old.
It is
green, blue.
good.
Yeah, both of them are good. Both of them do different things. I think that's why you run
Mhm.
both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that having that dichotomy, having one of each is actually kind of
Yeah.
sick. Like because it
You
gives
look
them
at your opponent.
flexibility.
You have Dragon
then-
Mode and you say, pick one.
Yeah, and with the way that the deck's built, he's drawing like 97 cards, which you can't do anymore because Sting's partially hit.
Well,
but,
I
like-
think you still can. I think you will still
Yeah.
find it.
Oh
And I
no,
think
you're
it-
drawing 95 cards, not
Oh, yeah,
97
95
cards.
cards.
Get
But
it right.
Yeah.
I
You still have the
will
Demon
say,
draw.
like, the bigger thing is like the cost of inclusion, because it has Imperial in its name, is so low. I don't
Mhm.
actually think it's like super OP. I think it is just it wins you random matchups and it barely costs a slot in the deck.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think the
now
big
you
just
thing
take out your
too-
old one, right?
Yeah, the big thing too is like he's not playing any Memboost that would like or anything color specific that would get rid of it. All his searchers hit it. You know, he's drawing a bunch, so like he was able to find
Oh.
the card pretty easily.
Excuse
Yeah,
me, sir.
I would-
Davis misses it.
Oh
think
right,
to
yeah,
a
Davis can
comment,
search. You're correct.
I don't think it actually replaces a level 6. I think it's almost better to compare it that it replaces a Paladin.
Oh
Really?
yeah, this one isn't running Paladin. I just
It doesn't
realized
play
that.
Paladin. So
Oh.
Ah, that's why QiQi's the best of all Force player.
Yeah, that's why we got
He's just a
Mr.
Vmon
All Force
player.
here. Mr. Vmon
The
here.
Vmon enjoyer. But yeah, dude, I agree with everyone. I think it is just standard.
Mhm.
I don't think it's. I think it is a meta. It is because of the way the meta is, again, just this card will probably win you more games than Paladin right now. So you play.
How do
this
we
over
feel about
Paladin.
the blue red X Vmon?
I think it's just a floodgate killer and the
Yeah,
DP.
100% a floodgate killer.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
you do need the DP boost to kill something with fighter mode, so it does kind of make sense.
I guess. Okay,
You just
I
don't
just
want to
don't
be
see it that
slamming.
often.
He just doesn't want to be slamming 4 Lydras. You know, he just 3 was the max.
Yeah, isn't Lydra a floodgate killer?
Yeah, but
Man,
that doesn't
I
have an
hate
on-play.
Man, I
Also
hate
costs
Ledra,
5.
but I gotta keep it.
All my homies love Lydra.
Yeah. Okay, so we kind of gone over the blue green. We kind of go over Sakuya. Anything to note in Galaxy? Do you guys think? Or this looks honestly pretty
Yeah.
standard. Like, the
This is the
Invisimon's
first-
kind of cool.
Yo,
The news
Invisimon, everyone knew that Invisimon was going to be included in Galaxy as soon as
Yeah.
it came out.
mhm.
The only one that I was not expecting was the Rich Man's Blitz Omni for game.
Yo, it actually
that
does so
being
much.
Omni X, being the fact that it's just a Blitz Omni at the end of the day.
Not
Are
even
you
that, it
really
bottom
surprised by
decked
that?
thing.
It bottom
bottom
I'm a
decked
little,
X.
I'm a little surprised, but not entirely. I just didn't think about putting it like that. But I
Like-
guess
Right, like Galaxy has the really good thing of being any blue or red top end, and then
This is
Omni
true.
X just happens to go on any good red or blue top end. So the card's crazy. I don't know. I think that having it as a one of and anything that can run it just makes sense.
Like,
Yeah.
as someone who's been playing the Galaxy deck now since Worlds has happened, the bottom deck effect is actually nuts that it's not on X Antibody or Omni. Like, you Evo,
yeah,
you bottom deck, and you just kill them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Highlander effect. Oh, the kill everything effect is the
Yeah.
X Anti or Omni.
Yeah, so sometimes if you have 2 things on board, you go, cool, Evo, bottom deck, right into the other one.
Yeah.
Oh no, Pierce one check. I still have blocker.
Oh no!
If you can somehow reboot, it doesn't matter. Like in the following turns after, you
No,
can still
you can swing without suspending.
without suspending.
Oh yeah, you
still
without
blocker.
dude. It's this card's
It's
fucking
still blocker.
crazy. This card's crazy.
The one thing I like is I actually didn't think about it is the Where Siegramon.
Yeah, it's another floodgate answer.
It's another floodgate killer.
That's on a blue this time, not red.
And it's also Mother Shoto. Nah.
Tyrant.
No, it actually
Nah.
stops. It actually stops. It helps a lot in your RK matchup because RK
yeah.
puts up a lot of blockers.
And you just go, didn't ask.
Yeah, RIP
Yeah,
my 2 Tyrant brothers and my RK player that didn't make it through. I blame Mega
Deserved.
Siegramon X.
Deserved.
All right, so that's
I'm surprised they. Oh, one more thing. I'm surprised they dropped the Huan Kun ratio from 2 to 1.
Yeah, that was a
Huan
little
Kun is
surprising.
crazy. Huan
I'm
Kun's a
also
crazy
surprised
card.
that they also went down on the Crescimon because I thought
Mhm.
Crescimon at 4 was going to be the staple.
Mhm.
And then since you have a blue floodgate answer, I thought you would go down 1 on flare, but I guess they really wanted to see those floodgates killed or get removed.
I think it's because
Apollo
it's so
also correct.
detrimental to you, right? If you have a memory floodgate out like this, it doesn't really like. I think
It
kill
doesn't
is a
fully
little
stop
strong,
It doesn't fully
but
stop
it does
the deck.
neuter the deck.
You just need to have a tamer. I say just need to, but sometimes getting that tamer is hard to find. Sometimes.
Also, shoutouts to my Apollomon fans. That guy was crazy. Apollomon actually
Apollomon
is
is
so
a
good in this
crazy card.
version. Because
Yeah,
you do the 4 checks with Apollomon and then you go, okay, Omni.
Yep.
Yep. Have fun. Bye.
God, Omni is such a good card. Just I don't know, man. I'm missing a card. What do I do? That's like the old Ukamon thing. It's like, man, I'm missing a card. What do I do? Throw an Ukamon. No, you just throw an Omni X now if it's red or blue.
Yeah.
I haven't played
Before
with
we
the
ran,
Ganon X, but
they took out the one of the other paladins to stop playing the deck infinitely. So now you have a time crunch.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, so then
Unless you
the
bottom
last
deck
deck we got to take a look
theirs.
at.
Yeah.
Red Purple Imperial. It looks pretty standard. The only thing to me that kind of stands out is the 4 purple memory boost, but I kind of get it because like I see a lot of lists running more like only a couple, like only 1 or 2, or like maybe even none, and then just having more Digimon out. But I guess Onion really just prioritizes just setting up the whole thing. And if you have enough memory, you just pop off over and over and over again, right?
Yeah, I think I think the memory boost really comes up because Red Purple Imperial, when they do a full combo, they definitely pass turn. Like there's almost no way they keep turn.
Yeah.
And you just don't want to give your opponent that much resources because unless you can do full combo every single time, it's gonna be your opponent can crack back. They can do other things too. Your floodgate answers are not detrimental enough to stop your entire opponent's game plan.
Yeah, and if he's going into if he's gonna do one loop of it, if he has just enough boost to be able to pop it, not pass turn, redo the loop again, like it just adds more strength to the deck. I can't wait for was it LM6 that we're getting the red purple boost?
Mhm.
Just
Yes,
basically
yes.
replace those out. That's gonna be so good for this deck.
I mean, it's
Now
about
you
the
now,
same.
now you don't
The
whiff on
only the only
no,
missing
because now you don't
Veemon
whiff on
XP.
Veemon next. Hey, that's less targets to whiff on, and you're drawing already so much. Like I know that it's still a combo deck that you want to find your pieces, but like searching one less, making sure you're getting either that Vmon or that XV, because the Vmon does lead to more draw. The XV could be an out to like an floodgate if needed. Like it's gonna be a good addition, right?
Yeah, I don't think it could hurt. Like you're only, yeah, I guess you're digging one less card, but that card he draws and searches so much.
Well, I
Yeah,
actually
like
think there's a different piece to that as well. Because when you enable the red the red boost, your deck building changes because you can add red only cards now. So your deck can now play Medieval and OmniX.
Oh, he's
Oh,
so
you're
right.
right.
This guy's
oh my
so
You're
god,
right.
right. This is
oh
why
my
he's
god.
the Veemon enthusiast, guys.
Yeah, dude. Wait, yeah, this is also a red deck. We could just put Omni X in it.
The top end for both pile drills could be the same. Just slam, Medieval.
This is true. This is true. I have seen blue green ace on red purple imperial.
Okay,
Yeah.
we have a TFR local player that also does that a lot, especially before the 2.5 stuff came out. Do you think this deck needs medieval? Like I know we're joking about medieval being like crazy in every deck, but like I feel like this is one of the few decks that like you don't need medieval in. Like you could this deck has so many moving pieces already.
I don't think you need it. I think it's just one of those things like, you know what? I really don't like losing against this deck. I'm just going to make this matchup impossible for my opponent.
Yeah,
I think
I
that's
think
another thing
medieval
that's
stops a lot of decks.
Because the
'Cause-
thing is, like,
Yeah.
to hit your floodgate for the fighter, you need to find both sides. You need to fight dragon and fighter. Now you only need to find medieval. So
Yeah. Also, the best
consideration.
answer to medieval is your own medieval.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
I
it's
think it's
a
funny
little
that
more flexible.
we only saw one list running medieval in the top 4.
It's because
That's true.
the other players couldn't afford the other ones. They're too
Oh, you're
expensive.
so right.
Yeah, dude,
Not to mention that every deck
medieval
was
songs are up.
blinged out.
Yo,
Yeah,
I
every
bet
deck
you if
should
we
have
saw
SG'd it.
any of the purple hybrid lists, you'd see like at least 3 to 4. You know, or
Yeah,
if you saw the
medievals.
RK list, it'd be 4 for sure.
RK would have it. Like, sorry, what's the spread here? RK would have it. Tyrant has them. Like purple hybrid has them. The
And
one
Galamon has
Imperial
to have
has
it.
it. Galatmon has it. Like
Royal
all the
Man
other decks
has
have them. Oh,
Again,
sorry. Takabi Kazuchi doesn't. That would be crazy though.
I mean,
No,
Do you
you
Levia
think
might.
could.
Takabi Kazuchi
Yeah.
runs
Levia might
medieval?
not.
Their top end is red. Their level 5 is red. They could evolve into it.
I don't know why
I
you
like how
would.
you think.
But you could.
No.
You could.
I like how this man thinks.
You
Bold of
could.
you to
I don't
assume
know why you
anyone
would.
evos into it.
Yeah, like kind of cheesy transition here, but like medieval's so crazy. I'm surprised it didn't get hit.
I think it's
Yeah?
I
too
think it's
new.
too new.
It's
Too new.
it's
Yeah.
also a secret. It's also
No,
a secret.
I totally agree. I'm just using that as a cheesy transition to the ban list.
That's
So
why he's the
I rate it.
host.
hell yeah. So looking at the ban list that was basically announced just after the finals. It's effective March 28th, although I think most people have kind of just done their thing. Maybe they're going to give Dex one last hurrah. Like, Kevin, are you going to play Purple Hybrid tomorrow at our
Ooh,
local?
don't come to locals. I'm playing 4 Jack Raids.
I'm going to play Gundam on the side. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Oh, this guy
But-
got a beta kit? That's crazy.
Yeah, so I'm actually
Sure.
surprised. Like, I knew. So just as a recap for everyone, new band card Matt Ishida from BT2. The one lets you recur on play, lets you recur a Digimon or a option for your trash. Purple one. There's a new band pair, like pair band with Mother and Shoto, and then 8 cards got restricted to 1: Blinding Raid, Jack Raid, BT11, Mirage Gauga, was that BT17, Fenrir Luga, Kuzuhamon, Promo Goonie, Promo Lobo, and the starter deck Stingmon. I'm surprised they actually outright banned Matt. Not because I think it doesn't deserve it. I just didn't expect Bandai to actually ban another card.
He deserved it. As much as I
Like-
abused him, he deserved it.
Yeah, like he deserves it. But like, are you guys not surprised that they actually banned a card? Like we've had a lot of lists that like nothing, like things get limited, except for like MDF. MDF was just straight up broken. But like,
It,
I'm
it
surprised they
makes
actually banned a card.
it makes sense just because of how Matt Ishido works in the purple hybrid lists.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you only need one to recur what you need.
Yeah, you go infinite.
Yeah, from one Matt Ishido. So I understand why they want to put it to 0 instead of just 1. Because once you find that one, that's all you need.
Now I win.
So
No,
I know we kind of like talked about it earlier. Like in realistic, I look at this list. I think that I kind of agree with everything. I think that there might be a couple more cards that could have added on, but I also understand them not wanting to be too heavy-headed. To me, the only card that seems a little bit odd is the starter deck Sting, but that's probably because of Japan meta, how they want to emphasize that more for the best of one format. But what would we all kind of all agree that this is all good hits?
Yeah. Overall, I think it's a good hit. A good list.
I think
good
it's
list.
about time for some of these cards, to be honest.
Yeah, like was there anything? I don't think was there anything surprising realistically that's on there that you think?
Promo, Aguni, and Lobo were like kind of out of left field because their decks isn't doing like it's not doing the best. They're still good, but yeah, I think it's surprising, but it makes sense.
See,
I think it
they
makes
were hit
sense
as
as far. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
like I see them being hit as a pair. If you look at the reasoning, it's like oh we hit a like I think it's like oh we hit a Goonie and Lobo was strong before, so we'll hit both. But
Yeah.
the thing with this is like right now, I think decks are so strong it kind of pushed them a little bit out. But if
Mhm.
you kind of like level up the playing like the power level of it, like Red Hybrid's still such a strong deck. And the weird thing with a Goonie is there's a lot of really niche red decks that have become 4 Goonie, 4 Ancient Grey plus 42 cards.
Yo, shout outs
Oh,
to
sorry.
birds.
Yeah, four of those, and then like actually, yeah, Birds doesn't run analog. I was gonna say 4 analogs, and then just fill the rest with whatever you want.
Birds
But
runs analogs with if you're running a Goonie.
Yeah.
These 2 cards are a 12 card package.
yeah,
4
it's crazy.
analog.
It's like, oh, dude, what other 38 cards you want to run?
Yeah, this is exactly. What other spice do you want?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any misses with any of these selections? Like, do you think that like I know contentious ones might be those two. I've heard things about the Kuzuha being like, oh, why not hit the Tau Ace? I heard Fenrir. I know a lot of people are looking at the Baumon, and then I know for Stingmon, a lot of people are looking at. I think
Davis Gun.
either Davis Ken Primo or BT12 XV. I think were the 3 ideas they had. I think overall it's still good, but do you
Mhm.
kind of consider those as misses, or do you kind of want to like? Do you guys think that these are still good hits for what they are?
I think we need to play in the meta first. Like, I think we need to see how blue green plays without that Stingmon. I think, well, we clearly know how Talmon is without Kazuhamon. It's still good.
Yeah,
But I think it's
I
just,
think,
we got to let them cook.
yeah, I think with taking out Kuzomon, you have to run. They have to run the blue package now so that they can run Kaiser Nails. Because like before
Yeah.
before you used it, like it's like oh it's nice, but like now I think you need it to kind of to have that extra free play effect, right?
And at this point, Tom, like the normal Sakuya deck is just better.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
we didn't see Kuzomon at all in that list, so
Yeah.
like this is really targeted towards that Tau loop.
Mhm.
I'm actually kind of happy to hit the Fenrir, not the Baumon. Like I hate Baumon. Don't get me wrong. I think that card's like really really strong for what it is, but this Fenrir is the whole culprit for haha pass you 10 or play a thing pass you 10. Never mind. DNA go back to 3, gain 1.
Ooh, our turn.
Yeah, I think they definitely just shifted the deck to go towards a different direction, rather than going for the full OTK. They're shifting it more towards the new line, which is more so control, allowing for like different playstyle. If they hit that bow, I think both sides of the deck would just take a hit and just not be worth it.
Yeah, Baumon would be like completely killing the deck. I think. I still think it's crazy that thing doesn't have a once per turn on it, but yeah, I get it. I get it.
How do
But
you
at
guys
least you
feel
don't get to
about,
reset the turn, right? With this Fenrir.
How do you guys feel about Grav Crush not getting hit? That's like the last memory thing, except parabolic junk.
Well, at least it has a At least it has a repercussion, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's kind of the idea they have, but also like, come on, man, it's a red card. Red decks
Yeah.
ain't doing too great right now. The only red decks that's doing great is because they're part other color,
Yeah,
like
purple.
red purple or red blue. You
Well,
know,
yo,
so
what do
like,
you mean, Galaxy? Galaxy's doing good.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
red blue. Like,
I'm
give
very
us
happy
something.
with. I'm very happy with the pair ban. Like, I'm tired of Mother Shoto. I'm not gonna lie.
It just drags the game too long. I don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it for enjoyable gameplay, regardless.
Yeah, it is a
Uh,
very degenerate combo. It's so. So we talk about decks that have specific answers to them. This one, the specific answer is just be bigger, but like not every deck could accommodate that. It's
Mhm.
so annoying.
Mr.
Mhm.
Allforce, I need your opinion on the dog, the blue dog.
Lobomon?
It's a very handsome dog, but
Very handsome.
I think just on the I think about general thoughts first. Maybe hot take. I think Digimon is diverse enough that I would be indifferent to a ban or not. Like even though people complain about Mirage, I mean the deck actually doesn't convert that much in recent times. Purple Hybrid, that one was the most immediate to me. That one was probably gonna get hit, and so I think the math ban is fine. But I think a lot of these restrictions are just kind of touched on before, but I think it's future proofing to not limit deck building. Because I
Mhm.
think with both ancients, this is just the best way to get the ancient. And so in many versions of the deck. And so any future hybrid support doesn't matter because this is still the best version. I think the same thing with Fenrir, like, oh, we get all this Luga support. It doesn't matter because this OG version of Fenrir is cheating 10 memory when you do this line. So
Mhm.
it's just the best. And then my other comment about this whole ban list is I think this is very much accommodated for the format 4 to 6 months ago, while also reflecting the Asian meta. So that's why I think a lot of these things feel a little bit disconnected from our current format. But I think things like Sting are diluting Imperial decks because they're just playing whatever top end because of this card. To answer the question though on the Mirage, I mean I think it's just people just didn't have fun losing memory on their turn. Quite honestly, like I think the card is out. Like you can out it. I think it's fine. Um, I think it creates a little bit of a control element that is interesting for the game. But, but ultimately, this is a game, and you want games to be fun, and people don't like losing their turn. So I
Yeah.
don't think
Like
that's
I love
the,
ruin mode.
I'm notoriously a Mirage hater, but if let's say they replace this card with is it what's the Galga that lets you draw the BT13 one?
BT16, I think.
BT16. If they replace this with the one that's played in Galaxy,
yeah
Yeah.
the one that
um,
makes lets
yeah.
people
If
draw.
if they replace this with BT16 Galga, like I'd be perfectly content as well. Do you think that would like I think that would be enough to kind of not
Yeah,
kill
I
Mirage,
think
but like
I
knock it down a
agree.
little bit, and it kind of hits Galaxy at the same time, right?
Yeah, I think there were definitely ways they could have nerfed the deck without hitting the top end.
Mhm.
But maybe it's cope. But it is. I think there's a bit of like a player experience factor. Like you don't really feel you kind of feel good when you get an extra card, right? But you do not feel good
When you
when
pass
you
your turn.
yeah, give me back 3 memory when you draw that card, right? So I think
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the difference.
I just don't think hand control, or not fully hand control, but like memory gain on your opponent drawing in a game which essentially draws a lot in comparison to other TCGs that like we've seen in general. Just having a deck that controls how many cards you can draw is makes the game a lot slower for other decks or other people.
Yep.
And I think at least my personal reason why I think they should have hit it or should have hit it a long time ago is just because it's been in the meta for too long. It makes the top like the deck diversity a little skewed for some events.
Mhm.
Just
Yep. I
because
mean, I could agree with that.
it's been around since what BT11 and got good in when did
Uh,
Burst Mode come out? A long time.
13,
BT12.
BT13.
13, yeah. So
Yeah,
and
it existed.
we're
Yeah,
approaching
like
on 21. It's been a long time.
yeah, it existed in 11, and it was like, oh, sick, we got Mirage Galgamon cards, but like realistically, it became a deck in BT13. That was
Yeah.
when kind of things popped off.
And then BT16 helped it even more. Like it's just been around for too long, and I think in order to create diversity, you do need. I think you would need to hit that card.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like it's not like the decks completely unplayable. Like it, if you're trying to win the absolute top events, yeah, sure, I get that. But like, at least Mirage still has enough power, I think, that it's not maybe not like a big contender, but if you're playing at it in the most commonly played version of the game, which is like at a local level, it's still like a playable deck within that level, right?
Mhm.
So like if you're going to a big tournament thinking I'm going to win with Mirage, you know, power to you.
I
You can
mean,
still do it.
I
Like
mean,
it's still not impossible, but like I think it does get a little bit harder.
it's one of the few
But if
decks
you're
Tamer
if you're
hate.
trying to play this in yeah, like if you're trying to play this in a local though, like go for it. You know what I mean? Like it's not a total meme deck.
Yeah.
I think like
Yeah,
tier
so
2. It could be tier
yeah.
2.
Yeah. So with all these, then, kind of hitting, I think Kiki kind of put it right. Like it's hitting its calls for formats that was a little bit ago, because like a couple months ago, because right now the big things, the two big decks are RP and Royal Knights. So whatever those end up being, like however that controls our meta. I know in Japan that those are the two big ones, but who knows? One of them might flop, one of them might not. Um, how do we think the meta will shift? And then, do you guys have any kind of contenders for sleeper decks that have benefited from this? Like, do you think there's a deck that kind of indirectly got buffed when you take a look at this? Because as a Tyrant player, I see Purple Hybrid gone. That's less things that shoot my bugs. I think that like it gets a slight buff from this. Like kind of ideas like that.
I think with the hit of Kuzuha and the Tau loop not consistently being able to go into a rune mode, and I assume, well, this is my take on it. It's like if people see a card get hit, they're less inclined to play that deck. So if Kuzuha gets hit, less people are going to play Tau loop. Meaning that all the decks that start with a lower to the floor kind of play style will inherently see more play. So, because the Tau Loop would stop RP Imperial and Blue Green as well, but it also stops stuff like Galaxy, stops anything with a very smaller lower end. So I see. We'll probably see us like still Blue Green Imperial everywhere, even though the Stingmon is only limited to one, and Red Purple will still be a thing running around.
Do you think we're back into like a more aggressive meta now?
I would assume so, just because everyone's fearing. I think the boogeyman right now, as far as like meta call goes, is going to be RK.
Yep.
Mhm.
Do you think Demon Lord is able to come back? I know that one of the reasons why it kind of got phased out was Purple Hybrid just kind of dominated it. Right? Like, okay, cool. Mill all your cards, all your milling cards too. I'm gonna mill you out, or like
I think Demon
go
Lords
so
would
fast and
still
go in.
can still be is still is still a thing. I'm surprised. I'm very surprised I didn't see it at Worlds though.
Yeah, sorry. Let me rephrase that. Do you think it's gonna be more of a thing now that I think Purple Hybrid is one of the few things holding it back, like a little
I
bit.
don't
Like,
think so.
I just think Royal
you don't
Knights
think
is
so?
just better.
Yeah,
better
I don't
version
know
of
how
the
that
It's
deck
just a
beats
better
Royal
Demon
Knights.
Lords.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Royal Knights Royal Knights I think beats Demon Lords. I don't think
Yeah,
it
they're just
contends.
faster and more consistent, and they have better options.
Mm.
It's just
Way
better.
better removal.
It's just better.
Yeah.
It's just better.
Yeah. Ooh,
Oh,
I'm Yuba better.
it's the Daniel and the cooler Daniel meme.
Mhm.
Yeah.
A sleeper pick for me. Honestly, I didn't think Fish was gonna be good, but now that I'm playing the deck is pretty spicy.
You mean Giga C
Yeah,
deck?
Giga
C.
C, or you go into Gallant X. Like both of those decks are pretty crazy right now,
Yeah,
and
I
it
agree. I think
OTKs
Giga's
really fast.
So do you think that? See, because that's already kind of a sleeper pick. But do you think that it actually picks up more steam with the ban list coming in?
Well,
Like,
with the only
what in the
deck that
ban list
really
is really
stopped
holding it
it
back?
was Ruin Loop, because I can't push out unless I evo into a 4. And the whole thing is like, I like the whole thing about the deck is if you check my security and you hit a boost, you lose. So if we're in a more aggressive meta, it's perfect.
Yeah, that's I'm like reinforcing the point that because of people not playing Tau Loop as much, or it being Sequoia Line versus Sequoia Tau Loop, decks that are lower to the ground will be able to be played more.
Mhm.
And I think that further reinforces my my point.
Yeah, I think it's definitely just less ruin, more unga bunga.
Yeah.
I feel like my take is really wrong now.
No,
No,
go
I
for it.
mean,
Go for it. I
no,
want
go
to hear
for
it.
it.
I
I
want to
think
hear
I
it.
have the
this
opposite.
guy has more
I
thoughts than
literally
all of
picked
us.
I literally picked you three because you guys are like you guys don't have to agree. Like you guys have a lot of like accolades to your names. It's
Mhm.
interesting to see this kind of mindset, right? So like, go for it.
I mean, I think if the majority is usually correct, but I think the format will be very similar to just the Worlds format. With all the obvious inclusions like Royal Knight probably being a little bit more prevalent because I think there's a few meta reasons why Royal Knight wasn't played. But I think the format will be slower because I think Purple Hybrid was the fastest deck in the format, and that deck is gone.
That's fair. I get that.
I can see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
The other
I
thing too, I think, and people are not going to talk about it because it's such a boring take, but I think Imperial, or whatever Japan calls it, blue-green DNA, is going to be a very high converting deck this format still.
Yeah.
I
That's
think,
why I think the meta is going to be faster because blue green will come back.
sure. I think blue-green is a very explosive deck. I think it kills very consistently, like turn 4, 3 to 5. But it doesn't feel like you're not at 0 security usually on turn 2.
Mhm.
And there's some setup involved.
Tell that to
But
the local players.
I mean, I'm just maybe we're just not as good as the local players who are
Yeah.
just see their full line on turn 2.
They're just better.
They're just built different.
They
But
just
Yeah.
high roll. What can I do?
exactly.
Ooh, I
exactly.
lose.
I have to play. I have to play Red Galaxy. Stop them from playing the game.
Exactly.
Or
But I
you
think
could not.
that deck rolls over Royal Knights. Yeah, I think it
Mhm.
just has so many clean answers. You
Yeah.
jam through their whole security. They slam Omeka, get suspended, never unsuspends for the rest of the game. It's
Yeah, they try to bottom you with Omni, then you just partition, do it
partition,
again.
exactly.
Mhm.
And then it's the whole floodgate thing, right? You have Hexblow to answer all the decks that are trying to be quirky. You have Medieval to answer all the decks that are trying to be quirky. You
Yeah.
have,
Oh no,
Yeah,
my
Dragon
boy.
mode being
You-
turn player prio, Evo into fighter, and
Exactly.
Omeka doesn't do shit.
Yep.
Do
Yeah.
you think there's any other decks that might like Purple Hybrid stepping up? I get the both Imperials, Royal Knights still kind of being up there. I guess we'll see Magna, still kind of being
Yeah,
gatekeeper.
free box should still be good.
Yeah, free box should still be good. Like we lost 2 big hitters in Purple Hybrid and Takumi Kazuchi.
Hey,
Do you
I
think
don't know if we
there's
lost Purple Hybrid. I'm cooking. I'm cooking.
I think
I
the deck still exists. I think it's just
I think
less
the deck
consistent.
fundamentally is a different deck. Like if we're talking about this version of Purple Hybrid, I think we
Oh
lose
yeah.
it.
I
But
think
Oh
it's
like
yeah,
more
yeah.
value
like
centric.
like so sorry, Purple Hybrid the deck is probably still alive in some way or another. But this Purple Hybrid that we've been so used to of like Velgra, Mill, Loop, Unga Bunga is dead.
Yeah, you don't need
Like
to
the
play around
Matt
Jack
Jack
with
raid
some
reloop,
security.
right? So
Thank-
do you think what decks do you think outside of the metaphor that we talked about might step up to kind of take in that fifth spot, that fifth, sixth spot?
My money's on Exa.
Yo.
I think
Exa
Exa can do a
rock.
lot.
Oh, Exa scares me, man.
Doesn't Exa just lose to Invisimon?
It loses the D to G in general,
Yeah. I feel like most
but
decks
like
do
not
that.
that many decks at the moment run D to G.
Dio Boromon, I'm gonna bring that back.
Hey
Let's,
yo,
Dio Boromon
he's
players rise up.
Like if you're looking at like maybe like top 5 decks or like even closer to like top 10, there's not that many D to G. There's like maybe
I
like
don't know.
1 or 2.
I
Do you
think
think?
the deck format can warp though to accommodate that because you
Oh
just
yeah, of
start
course.
playing
This is that's true, but
Yeah, we're
don't see your
we're looking
unlucky
at this.
matchups.
Like realistically, we're it's all assumption right now, right? Like we could
Yeah.
even think about it and just be like, oh, who knows? Maybe red purple just flops, and it's like, oh, the one thing we thought was gonna be crazy just doesn't. Like
Yeah.
it could
Yeah.
be right. Like sometimes there's
Yeah.
decks in Japan that do really really well come here and they kind of flop. Like Fenrir was kind of that before Takumi Kazuchi. It came over here, people thought it'd be crazy. It was still good, but it wasn't like the dominating force everyone thought it was gonna be.
Yeah. Well, again, that goes back to like Japan just plays a faster meta. Just
Yeah.
roll your opponent in 5
How,
turns or 2 turns.
how do you guys feel about things like Leviamon, which had a weird resurgence. Like the
Well,
purple, the dark animal engine's still pretty strong, or even like
mhm.
Crossheart having on new toys. Like how do you guys feel about those? Where those
One
fit?
deck we didn't see convert at all in Worlds, and I'm surprised about is Blue Flare. Blue Flare
That
is
deck
a
cannot
Yes.
you
fast
can't play
deck.
against medieval. That deck cannot do anything with medieval.
I think any cross deck cannot do anything against medieval.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Actually, yeah, I didn't think about that with Cross, but yeah,
You
I
just
think
need too many pieces. And medieval
yeah,
just says it's like 1 turn, just slam it and you're done.
and the fact that like it's also the fact that a lot of decks now have or not a lot, but Hexablow exists. So Tamer removal isn't just Black War Greymon and Hades Force anymore. There's
Oh,
other
Shadow Step.
things like there's like Tyrant has Grank. Like Grank Huaga does see some play sometimes as one of in other decks. There's Hexablah, which is being played a ton. A Dex Daruga exists kind of somewhere. Like you know what I mean? Like there's more. Sorry, those are the examples that pop up in my head at first, but there is more tamer removal around, which does kind of hurt those save style decks.
Yep. I
That's
think it just
fair.
gets hit by random floodgates. You know, play
That
cost
and
reduction, unlucky.
yeah,
You're playing Tamers, unlucky. You know,
Medieval
you're
Galamon
playing Muddy
exists.
by effects,
Unlucky.
unlucky.
Can't play something by effect, exactly.
Exactly.
Can't play
Ooh.
something by effect. Then Medieval Gallic goes out. Can't play anything.
Ooh,
Just
can't reduce
unlucky.
play cost. Ooh.
I guess I'll
I
play
think
this
decks
for the
that play
full
medieval,
cost.
decks that play medieval will do well. And so I think
Mhm.
one, I guess if you want a slightly spicier deck that I expect will convert a little bit more is probably Bloomlord.
Really?
Yeah, we
We
have
have
been
been seeing
seeing
Bloomlord pop up.
Bloomlord.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're already starting to see it, but
Yeah,
it did
we
show
saw
up in
recently
Japan.
top.
Yeah.
But it does still get shit on by a lot of decks currently.
Oh, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. It's just one more medieval enjoyer, you know.
Yeah.
Wait, if D Digivolve's strong, I'm gonna throw out my vote. Rocks.
Rocks
It's
It's
is
time for Rocks to rise.
it's
okay.
all force,
It's
but with
okay.
more steps.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
Huh?
it's more step. It just but it does fall under the same problem, you know. You get suspended by a Pieldramon. Oh, I guess I can't play the game anymore.
Wait, but if
At
it's
least
all
you
force
have
with extra
protection
steps,
though. That's not evade.
if it's
I mean,
all
your
force with extra steps,
protection.
does that mean Kiki's gonna be winning the next event with Rocks?
No, it's too many
No,
steps.
no, I'm not a rocks enjoyer. But, I'm a demon enjoyer.
I think Gallant's gonna do a little bit better now.
Could
Yeah,
be.
just
I
in
think that
general,
deck also.
Gallant like
Good.
it's already good. I think it just does better. I think it pops into the top 5 now.
Sure, I think the new support will
Mhm.
probably
Mhm.
push its conversion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do we feel about
Great.
Zephyr Ace though?
Dude,
I'd like to see that deck do well, but
Yeah.
it just doesn't do
The Bug
anything. I don't know.
Ace? Are we talking about
it
the
top
deck or just the card?
Just like in general, does it warp that deck to be a more topping deck, or is it just
Well,
I
I
don't
think
think so.
it's just a medieval support.
you're so
Yeah.
right?
Oh wait. But if Medieval's good, they play 3.
I
So
think
maybe
if
the
your
deck's
deck
crazy.
if your deck is green and you play medieval, you play Zafaga Ace. That's the requirement to play this card.
I don't have that. I play Tyrant. But we don't. I would say sorry. There was a list that did run 4 Zafaga Aces, but I don't think Zafaga Ace is the move in Tyrant because like that deck already has such a tight top end.
For now.
Yeah.
For now.
Last question I have for you guys here. So with recent announcements, not recent, but Bandai mentioned that in the upcoming year they're going to be changing the competitive structure. We're going to be having 2 nationals. I think the Ulti Cups have become kind of the host for the side events. There's weird changes to prizing structures. Do you think that with this competitive structure change, that Bamco also changes how we do ban lists? Do you, one interesting idea I had with a couple friends was kind of dropping a ban list like this after each Nats, kind of having block 1 as under one ban list. You see what works too well, what doesn't work, and then you set up another ban list for block 2. Um,
I
like, do you think that's a better way of pushing that, or how do you think they might
I,
change this for the new
I think it's a
competitive
good
structure?
idea. I think it's a good idea to have like blocks and then like like January to April and then maybe there's a ban list. I just don't like that the fact that you have to wait till the end of the season for a ban list. Like we do have emergency ban list in Digimon, APOC, rest in peace. I think there are times where you need emergency ban list, but there's also times where you don't need a ban list. And we shouldn't force Bandai to make a ban list just because it's that time of year.
No, understandable. I think that would be more so, um, like kind of a good, like that would be the timings for the ban list. Like they have a slot there. If things are going well, they can leave it. If things aren't going well, or you notice something, you put it there. But if it's something
Mhm.
egregious, like APOC was just,
It's too
who,
toxic.
I want to see who made that. But like, if APOC came out, they should hit that as an emergency ban list. But
Yeah.
if it's something that's just generally strong, um, give it some time in the spotlight, and it's kind of lasted too long. Like Mirage, if we got it last year, it would have been caught after like 2 or 3 cycles. You know what I mean? Like, or after like 3, 4 cycles, you have a full year or something like that. Like, do you think that'd be an interesting way of having them kind of push this?
I mean, yes, but I like there's another factor of we're worldwide sync now. So it's gonna take less time for us to find the broken stuff because Japan was just Japan. They got their stuff like way ahead of us, but now we have
Not everyone's grinding the same
yeah,
thing.
we have so many more players grinding out the same cards at the same time, and someone's gonna find the broken shit.
Yeah. Like I think we like having a ban list come up too often. I don't think is very healthy for the game, just because it would limit deck building and also limit which decks are being played. As long to be honest, I only feel the ban list should come up to effect as long as only if there's like an actual tier 0 or like one above all kind of deck. Or if something's just been in meta for way too long because it makes the game stale, right? Like you know how the matchup goes, everyone plays the same deck. Like it's not really that fun, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I guess yeah, because the meta's gonna be much tighter now that we don't have a whole other region basically doing beta testing for us. But
Mm-hmm.
that kind of lets some creative deck builders. What I'm actually excited for is seeing the super creative deck builders find that that
Hmm.
key, that little bit of spice that helps push things out of the way.
Yeah, I think a ban list coming out too frequently, like Billy said, is it's not good for the game. I think it right now we're rewarding good deck building more than ever, and we're also finding like if a meta shifts, we should just let it shift and let people find the out because there might be just a whole nother deck that develops because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
No, that's fair.
Oh, yeah, I'll agree
Kiki,
with
any
all
thoughts on
those
that?
takes. Yeah, I'll agree with all of them. I think from a competitive standpoint, I would rather there is not frequent ban lists because it's very hard to learn a format that is constantly changing and to anticipate the meta shifts. I think you'll actually see. I mean, maybe it is harder to convert with like tier 4 decks like all floors if you don't know what the meta is gonna look like.
Hmm.
Whereas if you know there's like 3 or 4 decks you expect to see in every event, then it's very easy to warp your deck to beat those decks and be rewarded for that. At the end of the day, though, I think Bandai, for all that the grievances it gets, is actually very good at listening to player feedback. So I think even if they did do a frequent ban list and then people didn't like it, I don't think they would continue doing it. So pretty open minded on that end. We'll see what they do.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Overall, they've been doing good. Like
Yeah.
honestly, I can't complain.
yeah.
As
As much as it
far as
feels like
games
we kind of have a
go,
little bit of middle child syndrome with One Piece being the big cash cow and Junior Arena kind of getting some of the new stuff, like I've been really happy with the support that we have for this game, and the only
Hmm.
thing that we wish for, and we do see changes, is like we asked for more in-person events, which they've been pushing a lot more for. Um, we push for ban lists. I think that the only thing is I wish they were just slightly a little bit more frequent, or like they weren't as hesitant to do it. But let's see how they do it in the new wave where everything's kind of synchronized, right? So
Yeah,
Yeah.
who knows?
new comp
yeah,
year, man. New competitive year.
I just hope
Yeah,
they have more implementation of more tournaments. I do miss playing more frequently as far as like big tournaments go.
Yeah,
you know what it is?
I want to go back to grinding.
It's
you two
because
got to
people
catch up to
ask for
Kiki.
in tournaments, but they weren't clear on the ask. You know, it's not that we want more in-person tournaments instead of online tournaments. We want
It
We
was
both.
just want
it was an and,
more.
not an or.
Yeah, exactly. So I think
We
that
just want more.
people always, like I feel like when they ask for feedback are not specific enough for their feedback. Like, oh,
Yeah,
you know what? Yeah, in person, sure. We'll just turn the online ones into in-person ones.
yeah. They probably only have a budget, and they're like, pick one. They're like, damn,
Right.
Yeah. Alrighty, guys. I think that's time. I know, Billy, you got to get going, so I think
Yeah.
we'll just close it out here. Just thank you guys for joining so much. Like, I really do appreciate having you three in, especially being some of our players with the highest, like the most accolades in our team, in our
Emphasis
community.
on
Like,
some.
hey, if we get more events, you could catch up to Kiki. Okay, you gotta get grinding, boy.
I
Um,
gotta catch up to Kiki. Relax.
you're too off. You're pretty close. Kevin's got to catch up to you, then to Kiki. Um, but just quick thing, shout out to BrickCity itself for letting me take over this. Untouchables Games, Red Riot Games, GG Gaming Cafe, Game 3, Six Tails for coming up with these sprites that we're using for the podcast, and our Mr. Bree producer who does not want to be named. Do you guys have any shout outs? Anything you want to give? Billy?
No, I think I'm good on my end.
Kevin?
Shout outs to Billy.
Damn, that's camaraderie right there. And Kiki?
Yeah, shout out to everyone else on this call.
Hell yeah. All right, thank
All
you
right.
guys for watching. Do the whole, YouTube, subscribe, like, give us a shout, all that. I actually just brain farted how I wanted to start the podcast.